house right now, and our plan is to ask her parents like one word that describes her, and we're going to do a comparative to show how different people in the community see her.
And why do you think it's important to get this story on film?
Well, I just think it's a good way to show people that our life isn't really the same as theirs. When we were 11, we weren't going to school for 4 hours, coming home, making the family dinner, and going off to work for the next 5 hours. So it's going to be a bit of a shock for some people, but a good shock.
Real youth is about creativity. It's about action in the world. It's about co-creating media, learning skills to increase personal power within the world, and personal ability to make change.
The work that we're doing here is not just about making a film. It's, yes, we want to create something, a piece of media that has an impact, but it's also about the relationships that they're building and the skills that they're gaining around how to interact in the world and work within a team that respects everyone in the group as an equal and that everyone can take a leadership role. The UNIS students are learning how to use the cameras, produce engaging short films, and again, the films being used as an advocacy tool, something that we can leave behind and that can be used as a fundraising tool for this school and to continually support the work that UNIS is doing with this community.
Is it very expensive?
No. When you go in school, it's free, always free.
It's
you don't need to pay. But when you go higher school,
I've learned that with all the privileges that I and my friends have at school and at home, compared to what Lou has, and Lou is still so happy playing with his friends and going to school, I think that it's important for me to realize what I have.
I think young people can look at Indigenous cultures and not see themselves and not see the sameness. And so when a young person makes a film intimately about an individual from an Indigenous culture, suddenly they start to see the sameness, and they start to see how everyone's parents wants their children to thrive and want the best for their children. There is so much that's inherent about being a human, and these threads of humanity become more apparent. And it's harder to look at an Indigenous culture and generalize about them when you start to get to know individuals intimately.
At the beginning of the program, we asked the youth, what do you need to feel comfortable here? What makes a group work well together? And they came up with a list of ideas that we all agreed upon, and that sets the foundation of how we're going to work together. And the difference between doing that and not doing that is tangible in terms of how they interact as a group, as well as the finished products of the films that they're producing.
Well, I think that the project was successful in a lot of ways. First of all, we made something that we're also proud of, but also we made new relationships that we didn't know were there, we didn't know were possible.
I feel like the way that Mark and Erica taught us how to work with the people we were working with was really good, and I'll probably use that like for the rest of my life.
I thought the villagers have been welcoming, and they were really nice also. I was thinking that I couldn't really connect with them because I thought that there were many differences between my lifestyle and their lifestyle, but we connected very easily.
I think every school should do community service, like, because it teaches the students, gives them motivation, and yeah, it's a great learning experience.
I'd be really comfortable with just telling people like how much it actually meant to me to go down to Sapa and to interact with these kids and actually create a product which I can show the world, and that will really raise awareness to the situation which is going on.
I have been overwhelmed with what we have been able to produce, and I think the experience is the learning experiences and the learning outcomes of the students on the program. I think I've been particularly impressed with the way that Real Use have enabled students in the school to use the technology that we've got and to take it to the next level.
I think the message that we want the wider UNIS community to have about the Real Youth experience is that this was an investment in our students and bringing together two very important components in our school. Our emphasis on technology and our emphasis on service, and that by using the technology and by providing these opportunities through this group, that kids actually were empowered to not just make a difference, but to make a difference with themselves.
I think it's great because kids are really influenced by the media these days with all the technology we have. So it's a great idea to teach kids to give them their own voice, so we can like put our ideas out there and show people what we think.
But it's definitely magical to walk away with these memories on video, as I can always watch these again, and I'm sure that I'll have different feelings each time.
As an observer from the outside, and also having the perspective of being a teacher, I felt like the process is, you know, for these particular groups is the important part. However, when you have a product like that you can share with other communities in other ways, then you initiate conversations that might take people down, you know, similar tracks. So I think it's important to understand the way other people live, and there is value in that, because if we understand each other, we can help to move towards solving world problems.
Schools, I think, for a long time have been made for the adults and not for the kids. And I think now we don't want kids to study science. We want them to be scientists while they're here. We don't want them to study writing. We want them to be writers. We want them to be mathematicians. We want them to be creative.
I have noticed young people who have felt very disengaged and disenfranchised become strong advocates and outspoken leaders in their community. It's really amazing. We give these tools and we give these exercises and hold these space, and the kids take them where they want, and they take them in the directions that they're most passionate about. And we've seen a lot of leaders emerging, and we've seen a lot of confidence increasing, And we've seen people break out of bad habits and groups that maybe aren't serving them very well and find more healthy relationships.
Our goals are to spark interest in these students to use the media as a way of creating positive change in the world. And that's the sort of big picture of what Real Youth is trying to do, is that we live in a crucial time in world history where people, especially young people, have to use their voices in powerful ways and speak up. And it requires courage, and it requires honesty, and it also requires the technical skills. And the internet has really opened up the world of filmmaking so that anybody can make a film now with very low budget, and they can self-distribute it, and it can have a real impact.